How's it going? My name's Jordan Biel. We are here at the Cellar, the studio for Innovate Records, Studio A. And I've just been asked a few times online how to get that tone and what pedals I use. So I thought I would go ahead and put together a very comprehensive video of pedals. There's maybe, I don't know, 50 pedals here. And I'm going to do my best to explain what each pedal does, why I use it, when I use it, and hopefully give you a good idea, save you some money and save you some time when you're going to shop. First and foremost is, of course, your tuner. So this, I always use the Boss chromatic tuner. It is extremely reliable. And so I first want to talk about volume pedal. I use the volume pedal in almost every album we've produced here because it is amazing for rock, for country, for worship, so many things. Let me give you an idea of what I mean. Let's say you put your delay pedal on, and we'll talk about that in a minute, and you wanted to do some swells. So the volume pedal is really nice. I'll tell you what, the Ernie Ball volume pedal, the Junior, is awesome. I had somebody give me one, give me a different make and model of a volume pedal for Studio B, and it just did not work. It came in a little bit late every single time. I've had this for about 10 years, and I've never had one issue with it. It's extremely sensitive, so if you push your foot, a quarter of an inch, you're going to get that much volume. If you go all the way, it's perfect. Alright, next thing I want to look at is this little guy that you see, the Line 6, I think it's the G30 wireless. It's obviously not hooked up right now. The receiver pack is on another guitar, but that has been really great, and I tell you what, the distance is awesome on that too. When our band is out, I've been 75, 80 feet away at the sound booth and playing and hearing maybe a couple milliseconds of latency. I mean, it is pretty darn close to the second you play, the second you hear it back. And that's a digital wireless receiver. What's also awesome about that is you're not going to get any interference with the wireless microphones, wireless monitors. So that is the Line 6 G30. And that is excellent, been very reliable. Next pedal I want to look at, this is by far my favorite pedal. This is the Full Drive 2. This is what I use for distortion about 80% of the time when I'm live and when I'm recording. The reason is it has that very hearty, bluesy tone without sounding like thrashy and kind of annoying. So it's a great overdrive pedal, and there's so many reasons why I love it. It's extremely versatile. So let me give you an example. If you were to take this vintage setting that it's on right now, you're going to get just, again, like a bluesy tone. So that's a great tone. If you switch to the middle, it's going to be a little bit less gain. So you can just hear the strings a little bit more. And if you really want to get that hard rock sound, you can flip this switch right here up to Comp Cut, and it's pretty cool. It puts a really strong compressor. It'd be as if you turned on your compression pedal, and set the gain at max. And it does turn it louder. I turned down the amp, but see how much beefier that tone is? I use the Comp Cut setting for octaves all the time. looking for something to quiet down the buzz that you hear. The full drive 2, again, one of the reasons I love it so much is actually it's a pretty quiet pedal compared to the Tube Screamer and the other overdrives that are out there. But let's say you take your hands off the guitar, your distortion pedal's still on. What do you hear? You hear that. So you hear that little buzz? Alright, check this out. I turn this pedal on, buzz goes away. So it's pretty awesome, but you don't ruin your tone. The tone is the exact same, but it takes the buzz out. So that is called the Rocktron Reaction. This is the old school version of it that I've had for a long time. And it's again called the Hush pedal. It's just a little bit bigger footprint on your pedal board. Alright, let's talk about distortion pedals for a minute. We're going to look at my favorite pedal, the Full Drive by Full Tone, in a few minutes. But I wanted to kind of A-B all the distortion pedals I have so you can get a good idea of what each one does and maybe which one you might be interested in buying. Let's first start with the classic Tube Screamer by Ibanez. Now, I know the TS9 is the more popular one. I have the TS7. They're pretty darn close. But let's get an idea of what that sounds like. Using the bridge pickup. Okay, now let's look at the Super Overdrive. This is the pedal I've recorded with the most. It's a little bit bluesier. It's kind of like the Blues Driver from Boss, the blue one. This is the Super Overdrive SD1 right here. This is with the levels about 12 o'clock, drives about 12 o'clock. Right down the center, you're going to get a great tone. One thing I like about this pedal, it seems to bite a little bit more when I'm bending strings. Sometimes on some distortion pedals, when you go to bend strings, all of a sudden, and play up high, it's almost like you don't even have overdrive on. The guitar starts to sound clean. With the Super Overdrive, I feel like you still get the gain and the overdrive that you want the whole time that you're playing. See how it's still got that bite? It sounds a lot like the distortion on the Fender DeVille that I'm using. That's the amp that we're using. When you turn that classic just installed distortion on, it sounds the most like this one. So this pedal, by the way, $30 on Craigslist. I think it's like maybe 80 bucks new, but I'm just letting you know. Check Craigslist, check around first before you buy new, because you can save yourself hundreds of dollars. Alright, let's look at another one. One thing real quick. On the Super Overdrive, all of these, of course, you can take the tone up and brighten things, and you can take the drive up. So let's take the drive up, and let me show you the difference there. So it's got a really nice dark tone. It's good for that minor stuff. So you can take that tone, that drive back down, and it'll be, you can take that drive back down and make it as hard rock as you want. Let's look at the MXR. The MXR is going to be normally a lot darker, I've noticed. I tend to use this anytime I'm producing a song that's got a punk rock sound or very heavy rock, and I'll take the gain way up. So let me kind of A-B these for you. Again, here's just a G chord with the Tube Screamer. Everything's about 12, 1 o'clock on the dials. Here's the Super Overdrive. See how by default it's a little bit brighter? And then check out the MXR. I do feel like with the MXR you get a little bit better frequency response. I want you to listen to the low end that comes in when I turn this on. I turn the super drive on. You're getting that nice mid-range crunch that the guitar is supposed to do, but when you turn on the MXR, the tone is a little bit fatter. You're going to get more of the low-end frequency. Again, same chord. See how it's beefier? So I tend to use that if I'm doing something very aggressive, which is only about 30% of what we produce. So most of the time, like I said, I'm using this guy, the Super Overdrive, which is great for just, you know, typical, what I'll say typical, radio-friendly rock, pop rock kind of stuff. And then last but not least, let's look at the Vox Cooltron. So here's a G chord with the Tube Screamer, Super Overdrive, Classic Overdrive by MXR, and then the Brit Boost. Alright, now that's going to of course have that kind of Marshall stack sound a little more. It's going to be a lot more aggressive. You can of course take that aggression down with the gain. But I noticed this pedal sounds amazing with the Strat, the Fender Strat. It's like it just pulls out the tone of the Strat big time. It's got tubes actually in the pedal, which I thought was really creative and really unique on behalf of Vox. But this is like the full tone in that you've got two options in one pedal. Let me give you an example. Here's a G chord. And then if you want to just kind of lighten things up, you can go treble, full range, and then turn this back on. When you're ready to solo, you're going to have more gain. So for example, let's say you turn on your delay, and let's say you've got your chords. You're playing through your song. When you take this off, you're going to have that. It has a lot of bite to it, so this pedal's pretty stinking awesome. Alright, let's look at the Full Drive 2, personally my favorite pedal. Alright, so I want you to hear all the pedals together. In addition with the Full Drive 2, I want you to see the most drastic difference is between the Full Drive 2 made by Full Tone and the Brit Boost. Now the Brit Boost, watch how much brighter this is, even with the tone pulled back. So this is kind of crazy. Now here's the Full Drive. See how much darker that is, so, and that's with the tone pulled up. So it's interesting. You may think, well, why would I want to use that if it's that dark? Well, it's my favorite pedal, and you can always brighten your tones on your guitar. You can always go to the bridge pickup, turn the overall tone up and the volume up, and you're going to brighten things. But this is still going to be really bright. So that's perfect for like that, just kind of sometimes that 70s funk influence. Like that song that Rascal Flatts covered, Life is a Highway, you know, this kind of pedal is perfect for that. So again, G chord with the Tube Screamer, Super Overdrive, Classic Overdrive, Vox Brit Boost, and the Full Drive. So in summary, on distortion pedals, you get the most frequency response from the MXR, the green Classic Overdrive. You get the low end with the top end, but you're going to get a more bluesy tone with the Super Overdrive. You're going to get that classic Ibanez TS9, TS7 sound with this guy. The Brit Boost is going to give you that British rock sound, so it's pretty aggressive. And then, of course, the Full Drive, like I said, is the most versatile of all the pedals because you can put on comp cut, which makes your volume a little too loud. You can just pull things down a little bit. And then go go to the vintage setting. And now, I could be crazy, but I personally think that this full drive 2 holds out the tone longer. So I don't know if there's a built-in compressor that's on all the time apart from the comp cut setting, but it holds the tone for a really long time. So again, that's my go-to distortion pedal. It's a full drive 2. Alright, let's talk about delay a little bit. One of my favorites is the Line 6 Echo Park. One thing I don't like about it, the power supplies go on those really fast. Like every 8 months they tend to break. So that is really stupid. They need to fix that. But their overall design is really awesome because you don't have this outboard, or I shouldn't say outboard gear, but extra pedal to tap for the tempo. You can of course just tap right there. So let's say you're doing a fast rock song. Or unless you want to do it slow, you can just tap like that. So that's the Echo Park, but it has a ton of features. You can go to the normal tap, which is kind of similar. But then you can go to swell, which is pretty neat. Take your mix up, you know, which is the amount, what you have, and then the repeats, which is how long. It's kind of like feedback on other pedals. And it's going to swell. So I've used that on some, especially some pop albums. When you want that kind of interesting things going on, you can throw the reverse in there, the swells. And then of course ping pong, which is really awesome. I use that the most because you have a stereo out on the Echo Park. So you can send this cable here on the left side to another amp and send the left mono cable to your main amp. And then all of a sudden when you do this, and I don't think we're recording right now in stereo, so you wouldn't be able to tell. I don't have another amp plugged in anyway, but that's what's going to give you the stereo effect of, you know, maybe a dotted eighth and an eighth, and it's really cool. So whenever you can go stereo, I would suggest it, but that's really cool. So this won't be extremely comprehensive on the Echo Park because that video alone could be like an hour. So I'm going to just show you one more effect. This is called the reverse, and this is pretty sweet. When you turn this on, it's going to reverse the notes that you're doing. So when it's echoing, it's not reversing what you're playing instantly, it's reversing the echo, which is really sweet. Alright, let's talk about the DD7. This is my go-to pedal, again, just because the Line 6 is not the most reliable. I've had that go out, the power go out on me in shows like, I'd say 4 or 5 times over the last 10 years. Really frustrating. Not cool if your echo doesn't work in your event. So let's look at the DD7. This is made by Boss. Similar to the DD9 and DD3 and DD35 that I'm sure will exist one day. But they're all very similar. Some of them have the looping features, the newer ones of course. This is my go-to pedal for delay because you're not going to get any digital weird sounds going on. When you tap it and you change it from, let's say, like, you know, 65 BPM to all of a sudden like 130, it's going to adjust and you're not going to hear anything stupid. Very cool pedal. I don't like that you have to have an extra pedal to tap the tempo, but it is what it is. So you just attach this guy to the tempo setting, and let's get that same sound. Okay, let's say we're going. that's on a dotted 8. That's the one I use the most, but let's say you wanted to change it up to 800 milliseconds, and let's take the feedback up and the amount up, which is E level. That's the effect level, and let's tap that. That, of course, is going to give you a unique sound. I don't think I've ever had the effects level up that far, or the feedback level. But let's pull the feedback level down. And every now and then I do have the level up that high, but not the feedback level. And let's put it on clean. All right. And you can get a really cool sound. In fact, let's put on a little bit of Tube Screamer, because you're not going to... Now, one thing too you can do with this pedal is, just like a lot of pedals, you can do this with the Echo Park, and then also the Giga Delay, which we're going to look at in a second, is you can put modulation on. Modulation is one of the coolest effects in terms of time-based effects, like a delay pedal. So let's talk about the DD7, the modulate feature on this. Now there's a modulation feature on also the Echo Park and the Giga Delay, the DD20, also made by Boss. But I'm just going to show it to you on this DD7 pedal. What it's going to do is going to take each note and just modulate it. It's kind of like a singer when they have vibrato, the note is going up and down. So it's not flange, and it's not chorus. It's a little bit of a chorusy effect, but it's just modulating each note. So listen to the difference. So you can hear it modulating. Now you're going to hear it a lot, especially when you take the tempo way down. So let's just go to some chords here.